Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today for this webinar entitled Winning Strategy. Today we'll talk about 3 keys to grow with ease for accountants and advisors. If you've not met me before, I'm MC Carter, founder of Practice Paradox, and we specialize inch wide, mile deep in strategy and digital marketing for accounting and advisory firms. So a few things about this. The term growth in recent times has been bagged in certain areas, certain podcasts, certain people prominent in LinkedIn with the accounting profession. And the message around this, those that are saying grow, is why do you want to grow? You don't have to grow. Now, let's be really clear that grow really means evolve. You might not want a larger firm. You might not want to manage extra clients, or you might not want more staff to have to manage, or you might. But grow can mean to grow bigger, or it can mean to evolve. And that's one of the things that we help firms do, because at the end of the day, you could have 2 firms with the exact same revenue to outsiders that look the same, but their margins are vastly different. Their average fee per client could be vastly different due to things that are not clearly visible to the outsider. So you want to grow and you want to improve your business clearly, which is why you're with me now. And ultimately that allows you to have a business that gives you the results you want, but with more ease. Even though Malcolm Fraser, past Prime Minister of Australia many decades ago, said life wasn't meant to be easy, and there is some Zen Buddhism truth in that line, not everything has to be as hard as it is right now once you have effective strategy. And I'll run through that with you today and also give you an overview of what you'll learn at our upcoming 2-day workshop that we call our Masterclass. First, I'd just like to share with you a quick analogy, a story from my youth. Years ago, when I got my first bicycle, I was very excited to even have a bicycle, being one of 7 children. I kind of got it a bit late in my youth compared to plenty of my friends. So it was a very precious thing to have, this bicycle. It was one of those big ones that had shock absorbers on the front, on the forks and under the seat, which made it extremely heavy, but it was good exercise due to its weight. But clearly I didn't want that to get stolen, as some of my friends' bicycles have been stolen when they've left them, at the shops or in their front yard. So my parents bought me a combination lock. Pretty excited. 4-digit combo lock. You probably might even have one of these now. And what do you do when you get a combination lock? These days, you might think, okay, I'll note that in my little sticky note or Evernote app so that if I forget it, I'll be good. But being, I don't know what I was at the time, an 11-year-old, I thought, yep, I set the combo. And then next time I went to unlock it, I couldn't remember it. So that was a bother to me, because I'd actually locked it when it wasn't on the bike, so I couldn't use it at all. So I thought, okay, I had a guess at a whole bunch of things based on favorite numbers, lucky numbers, date of birth, etc. And I couldn't get it. And I thought, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to start at 0, 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to go 0, 0, 0, 1 and pull it. And then 2, and then pull it. And then 3, and then pull it. And I thought, if I just stick at that and just very clearly do each one, and there was only 10,000 options, will I get there? But the point of this story is the moment, and luckily I didn't have to go through all 10,000. By memory, it was in the 2000s when I got it. And I just did it a bit like how people might do knitting. I did it while I was doing other things and, watching other things. And the moment when I pulled it was just like click. Yes, because not until that combination was lined up clearly could I open the lock. But previous to that, there were plenty of times when I was pulling at it really, really hard, thinking, oh, it might be almost there if I just pull harder, which is clearly illogical. But emotionally, I was thinking, oh, I've got to get this lock open again. Now, the point of that story is, in a business, when you don't have your strategy right, you really are tugging at things and trying to make things happen. That if you had things aligned correctly in terms of your strategy, you would have that effect of click, click. That wasn't as hard as it's been in the past. And that's what strategy will enable you to do, is to achieve your objectives with relative ease. You can achieve your objectives by working your guts out, and you're probably working very hard, most of you, I would say, right now. But you can achieve better results with less work, which is one of the definitions of leverage. Now, if you're new to Paradox and looking at the list of people with us now, some of you are. So I'll just share the track record of some of our members. We call our clients members because we support you in lots of different ways. And Masterclass, our 2-day workshops, are just one of those ways. So some firms that we've helped over the years, and these are all firms that came to us at different stages. Because sometimes people say to us, oh, GrowthWise, they're a superstar firm when they see the fact that GrowthWise often, gives us testimonials and praise and thanks, if you like, for how much we help them. People look at where they are now, where they're like a 10 or 11 person firm, sole practitioner, based in Newcastle, New South Wales in Australia. And, their revenue is that which plenty of 3-partner firms would be quite happy to have. Very, very good business. And people look at that and go, oh, I can't relate to that because they're superstars. Well, when they started working with us, they were newbies. It was Steph and 2 team members that weren't even fully full-time at that time. They were just placing their faith in Steph's vision. And we'll talk about where vision comes in a moment as it relates to strategy. And, Steph was at ground zero. She was driving around and going to her friends' places and having dinner. And then after dinner with, half a dozen friends, then doing their individual tax returns or I returns to scrape by because she committed to a lease on, which is still their premises, pretty groovy premises in Newcastle. And she was stressed. She was worried that she wasn't going to be able to cover her initial overheads and get going. Now, the biggest breakthrough we made for GrowthWise, apart from honing their use of content marketing, we taught them how to use video, taught them how to hone their blogging. They were already active in social media, but we taught them how to be strategic with their use of social media. The biggest breakthrough that Steph Hines, the founder of GrowthWise, reported to us was getting clear on their strategy. She described it as the difference between night and day, the before and after effect of, oh my goodness, we were spreading our energy and our focus far too wide, and now things seem easier. And once they got clear on their strategy, they doubled their revenue 5 years in a row. And clearly it's easy to double your revenue when you're new, a bit of a hockey stick at start. But, once you start to hit, half a mil, etc., to continue to double that year on year is happy days for a business. And she's got her business to a size now where it is has achieved her objectives in many ways, which is why she's involved in some other ventures like carbon. Another business that we help is Pool Group. Now, Pool Group are an accounting firm, multi-partner accounting firm on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. But where we started working with Pool Group, we work with the firm directly now, but we worked with their spin-off called Zero Books, and you can see that Zero Books with a Z, from startup, before they'd marketed themselves, before they had their website live, before they had a sales process, and before they were clear on their strategy. And we've helped them through all of that. And Zero Books now are a double platinum business, and they grow like clockwork. They get leads, inbound leads on a regular basis due to the marketing machine based on their strategy that we help them build. Another firm that we helped from startup in that Change previously was part of a 2-partner firm that split, and Timothy Munro was out on his own and said, hey, MC, Paradox, we're going to start we need a new name, we need new strategy, new brand. How can you help us out? So we helped Change from startup, came up with their name, logo and everything. And they're a very high performing firm for lots of reasons. Now, each of the 3 firms I've shown you so far here all have different strategies. There are plenty of ways to succeed in life. There's no one perfect firm that has the exact same characteristics. Like, that's naive advice at best. So what we'll do today is give you an overview of why strategy is so important and what the 7 big rocks of strategy are. Because if you don't have those 7 big rocks in place, if you're missing even one of those, you will struggle. Things will be harder than they need to be. Last example on this slide, Consolidate. So Consolidate came to us after they were at a Xerocon dinner. And, they don't do it this way anymore, but they used to have the dinner on the Friday night where they had all of the awards. And Tanya Titman, the principal of Consolidate, noticed through the thanks and stuff that was going on in the Twitter stream that most of the previous winners that she'd seen win the Zero Partner of the Year in Australia were Paradox members, where we'd guided their strategy. And she called me on the Monday morning, straight after that Friday night, And I can remember it like it was yesterday. She said, MC, I've figured out the common thread, the common ingredient between the recent winners, and it's you guys. And why I'm frustrated is we already spend a lot of money on marketing. So this is a different example here. This is a business that already had a great looking website, was doing blogging, was doing social media, was doing a lot of things, very active. But in Tanya's words, to quote her, we are not getting the ROI that I would expect and that I want from all of that effort. And I could really sense the frustration in her voice. And then she said, look, MC, why is Paradox different? How do you get the results? Like, what is the missing link here? And I'll tell you in one word what it was. It was strategy. But more specifically, they had a couple of the big rocks, of the 7 big rocks missing, that once they did, made a huge difference to the traction, the results, the ROI that they got with their marketing. So, that's 4 out of the past 6 Xero Partners of the Year in Australia have all been Paradox members. I don't show you that to boast, only to show you that we do consistently get results for those who fully engage with us. Frankly, this would be 5 out of the past 6 Xero Partners of the Year if one of our superstar clients wasn't so busy that he couldn't get his application in last year. He definitely would have won. My opinion, could be wrong. So what we're going to do now is a couple of polls. It's really important in a group of this size. I want to get an idea of who's in the room. So the first question that I'll put on the screen in a moment. So this is where you'll grab your mouse or trackpad. I want you to pick one response to the question. How clear are you on your firm's strategy? Crystal clear, quite clear, broadly defined, not clear, or no articulated strategy. So I'll click launch poll on that. And you can actually also answer the next question while you're at it. So I'll give you a bit of thinking time right now. So first question, how clear are you on your firm's strategy? Ranging from crystal clear to no articulated strategy. And the second question that some of you have already gotten onto is, how clear are you on how to execute your firm's strategy? Fewer options on that one. Crystal, quite, or not clear. And I will keep the poll open until 80% of you have voted. And I'm stubborn on that. 75% currently have voted, and then I'll share the results with everyone. And I don't necessarily have any preconceptions of what the answers will be from this group. So we need a couple more of you to vote. We're at 78%. So if you want this webinar to continue, there we go. Okay, so we're at 82%. I'll end that poll and I'll now share the results. Okay, so let's see. So how clear are you on your firm's strategy? 61% have said broadly defined. Let's see, the next one, 17% have said not clear. And then 9% have said no articulated strategy. So if we add those up, let me do some quick mental arithmetic. We've got 88% are either broadly defined, not clear, or no articulated strategy. 87%, sorry. And then we've got crystal clear, 4%, and quite clear, 9%. It will be interesting later for us to look in the back end of the webinar platform, Zoom. We can see individual answers to see how many of those are Paradox members or not. And then, okay, so the vast majority are either broadly defined or not clear or no articulated strategy. And I appreciate your honesty in answering that. And how clear are you how to execute your firm's strategy? Wow, a whopping 70% not clear. And again, that's very honest, you know. I love the saying, the first step in solving a problem is recognizing it, or a problem defined is a problem half solved. And personally, after strategy, the number one missing skill gap in small business, medium-sized business, which includes accounting firms, is the ability to execute. But you've got to have a strategy to execute first. So 70% not clear, 30% quite clear. And no one answered crystal clear. Okay, cool. I'll stop sharing those results and we'll refer back to those as we go today. So when you think about it, what do star accounting firms have in common? You know, the ones that do constantly, not just win awards, because you can't really bank awards. Sure, it's nice feedback that you're doing well in your business, but usually awards are symptoms of, you know, growth and success. Number one, star accounting firms are clear on what strategy is. Now, by that, I don't mean they're clear on what their strategy is. They're clear on what strategy is. And in a moment, I'll share with you some surprising, some might say shocking insights from our surveys of the accounting profession globally on that one point alone. Secondly, after understanding what strategy is, they have a clear and structured strategy themselves, and they consistently take time out to work on their firm's strategy. You can't work out strategy on the fly, in between checking messages, notifications, email inbox, and in between appointments. Now let's flip that over and look at what do non-star accounting firms have in common. You know, a mediocre, typical accounting firm. Years ago, I founded a medical device business based on an invention of mine that I came up with at university. And my partner, who was a Kiwi, New Zealander, he liked to say, you know, you never want to be average because it's the cream of the crap. And I'd never heard that before. Obviously, many of us have heard that since. But yeah, average is not a good place to be, because average is difficult because you're dealing with average margins and average pricing and average staff, and everything's quite average, which is hard. So you don't want to be anywhere near average. So non-star average firms are not clear on what strategy is in the first place. They lack that clear structured strategy, and they don't take time out to work on their business. They're too constrained and tied to what in the 4 disciplines of execution, one of the books that we recommend on that topic of execution, they're stuck in the operational whirlwind, and they don't take time out to work on and think through their strategy. Sure, they'll go to events for CPD points because they need to tick those boxes, but your technical skills will never differentiate you in the marketplace, because your clients and prospective clients have no way of actually assessing how technically up to date you even are. So people buy perception of value, and if you don't have a clear value proposition, which is part of strategy, and upstream from that, a clear target buyer personas, which we'll talk about today, you're wasting your time, really. So you need to work these things out, and they can't be done on the fly in a rush. So you get those things right, and you really will have that click, click. Well, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was in the end. So 3 things about strategy. Number one, it is the single most important ingredients for success. Now that's a bit controversial. A lot of people say, no, building the winning team is the key. Well, I'm sorry, a winning team with a losing strategy will still lose. But having said that, it's a little bit chicken and the egg, because a winning team could formulate a winning strategy if they're educated in what strategy is and the structure. But if they don't ever get educated on that, they could be executing their day-to-day operational duties well, but lose compared to firms that are clear on their strategy. So to us, strategy isn't just about marketing. It is your business strategy. I spoke at a conference down in Tasmania a few years ago, and there was the demographer, Bernard Salt from KPMG. He's the guy in recent years who popularized the smashed Avo line about how the younger generation are wasting their money on, you know, eating out at cafes, etc. But anyway, he's a very, very smart guy, and his predictions are so often on the money around where is society heading, where's business heading, where are the growth sectors, and so on. And one of the things that when Bernard spoke after my session that stuck in my head was, he said the more senior person he's speaking to in an organization, so CEO and other C-suite level, CFO, CMO, CTO level people, the more senior they are in an organization compared to, you know, middle management, lower management, etc., the simpler the questions that they ask. So the more senior people were asking the simpler, but therefore more profound questions, such as, are we in the right market, selling the right thing to the right people at the right time? Just think that through. Are we selling the right thing to the right people, you know, in the right time? Get those wrong, Everything else is a detail. You'll be straightening deck chairs on the Titanic, which I love that analogy. Tragic, of course, as it was now, the whole Titanic thing, of course. But, you know, you can imagine a deckhand thinking, oh, it's really important for these deck chairs to be neatly aligned. And gee, they look beautiful. And then bam, you graze a iceberg in the middle of the night. Now, strategy, the good news here is strategy has structure, and that means you can learn it. It's, you know, even though there's certain things in life that I think are gifts, you know, like the ability to sing really, really well. Now, I know everyone can learn to sing and get better, but certain things in life are gifts. You look at some sport and you think, wow, you can't teach that. They were born with that. It's in their DNA, if you like. But with strategy, it's got structure that you can learn in the exact same way that you've learned accounting, bookkeeping, financial planning. There's rules to the game. And again, strategy takes that slow thinking time. You need to take time out away from your business. Now let's look at what strategy is. You'll probably be familiar with this movie, Saving Private Ryan, starring Tom Hanks there and Matt Damon on the right. It's a really powerful movie. People who know about this movie and haven't watched it, it's usually because it's like my wife, Isabella. She can't bring herself to watch it because there are certain scenes in it that are terribly gruesome. But it serves a really great metaphor for what we're talking about today. So Saving Private Ryan, in that movie, the basic plot, they had a mission. And the mission was find him, get him home. So to find Private James Ryan behind enemy lines and bring him home safely to his family. And there was a really emotional sort of context to that, where he was the sole remaining sibling in a large family where everyone else had lost their life at war. And so the mission was to bring him home to his family. And so that's their mission, right? But then if you think in a business context, people talk about mission and vision. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever thought, what's the difference between mission and vision? So in this context, their vision was to win the war. So to create a world free from oppression within, you know, what was happening with Nazi Germany invading countries at the time. So that's their vision. But they were very clear from the moment they woke up every day what the mission at hand was around find him, get him home. But that was within the context of the vision that they had. And then lastly, values is something also that gets spoken a lot about and that are clearly important. And there was a great scene that you can see a screenshot of now, where the characters of Hanks and Damon are having a chat. Hanks was the leader of the group, the captain, and they were talking about, you know, why they're doing it. And the basic story was that, you know, I'm doing this just to get home to my wife and tend to my rose garden. So, you know, their values were around freedom and democracy and ultimately family, even though that wasn't readily apparent what they were doing day to day. But that is what was driving them. So, looking at mission, vision, and values, if you put those three things together, you've got a strategy, right? Wrong. Your mission is not a strategy. Your vision is not a strategy, and your values are not a strategy. There's been a lot of emphasis in recent years, and we were one of the first people, I think the second people in the world really, to promote Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, to the accounting profession. Say, this is really powerful. You know, embrace the message in here from Simon Sinek, I think is how that surname's pronounced. Start with why. But it's been overemphasized because knowing your why is really important, but really that's just your values. It's not a strategy in how to win. And I've met a lot of people who've come to us and go, oh, you know, I've worked through the Simon Sinek stuff and I'm really clear on our why. And then when you listen to the why, you think, okay, well, that's cool, but it's not a strategy. It's not a marketing message. It's not going to actually help you do anything all that much differently. So your strategy is how you will achieve your mission. So their strategy to find Private Ryan was to work out, okay, where is he in the first place? And there were ways of finding that out. And then once they located him, and there were a couple of false alarms finding people with similar names that were not the same Private James Ryan, then the strategy, how to come back, how to get him home safely. And there were some moral dilemmas there where there was a battle. It was a really important one in relation to a bridge, that if the Allied forces didn't win that battle, they may well have lost the entire war. So they had a strategy to achieve their mission. So it's a really important distinction. So to bring it back to something less gruesome, though some football codes are pretty gruesome in full contact, your strategy is how you will achieve your mission. So in sport, it's how you win. It's how you win the game. And once you've got a good strategy, really, it's for you, in the positive sense, it's no longer a level playing field. Much, much easier. Now, over the years, and we were founded in 2010, right? So we've dealt with many hundreds of firms in Australia, New Zealand, US, Canada, UK, and other countries. And as part of what we do when we're talking to someone, when they're thinking of working with us, there's a questionnaire that we get you to do, a marketing gap analysis. And it has a couple of questions in there around how clear are you on your strategy? And then there's a second question that I'll come to in a moment. So when we've surveyed 195 firms when we last looked at this data and said, okay, out of those options that you answered before, from crystal clear, quite clear, broadly defined, not clear, or no articulated strategy, here were the results. 11% said they were crystal clear on their strategy. 33% quite clear. 31% broadly defined. 15% not clear, and 10% no articulated strategy. So that's what they answered. But then the second question after that is, in a sentence, tell us your strategy. And when we went through and by the way, let's just chunk that up. So if we group crystal or quite clear, it's 44%, and then broad, unclear, or none, 56%. Now, the point of that slide, by the way, grouping broad, unclear, or none, in our view, a broad strategy is not a strategy. Kind of a vague way of how you're going to win the game today, a vague way of how you're going to achieve your revenue targets or margin targets or whatever KPIs you're focused on at the moment. So broad, unclear, or none, 56%, crystal clear or quite clear, 44%. But then when we analyzed the sentence that people wrote, what we saw is that people weren't articulating strategies, even though they thought they were, and they're accountants and business advisors. So look, this is how many articulated a clear strategy, 4%. And the rest did not articulate what we call, and when I say we, we're not making this stuff up. My background, having been a co-founder in various businesses over the years, I've got a background in industrial design, innovation, technology, marketing. Got an MBA, don't hold that against me. So this is coming from very solid frameworks, not just our anecdotal industry experience. 96% or 24 out of 25 firms said something, this is our strategy, that was not a strategy. Now, I need to slow down, and everyone just needs to think through that. Only 1 in 25 actually stated something that is a strategy. That's an issue. But if you move from being in the green to the blue, things will start to go pow for you and your business. So examples of non-strategies. We are a referral-based accountancy business that offers strategic business and financial advice and services to our clients. Okay, well, that's what you are. Another one, to double turnover in 2 to 3 years by rolling out new initiatives to existing clients and gain new clients and maintain profitability at 50%. It's not a strategy, is it? They are objectives. To be the strategic partner for our clients. Oh dear. Has there ever been bigger brochure speak than that one? You know, that might make someone feel warm and fuzzy when they put it on their website. We are your strategic partner, but let's face it, that is not a strategy. Again, that's like a statement of an aspiration or an objective, but it's a super fuzzy one anyway. Can you imagine a small or medium-sized business, right? And let's say it's run by a husband and wife, and you know, they're having breakfast and they say, you know what we need? We need a strategic partner in our business. It's just MBA speak. Next, to provide a service which gives clients insightful, timely information to help them make decisions in their business. Okay, well, you know, it's a bit more specific, but again, that's what you're going to provide, not a statement of strategy. And I love this one, consistent, aggressive growth. Aggressive growth. Okay, that's non-specific, even if that's an objective. So some examples of winning strategies, and there's dozens I could give you, but I'll just give you a handful. Specialize solely on medical professionals with bookkeeping, tax, accounting, and financial planning services. So that's who you're targeting, what you're going to deliver. Delivered in highly scalable ways. So if a service isn't scalable, they're not going to do it. With all clients on monthly automated retainers. So help young growth-oriented service-based small businesses, so young growth-oriented service-based small businesses to automate and eliminate their low-value processes across bookkeeping, management reporting, workflow, and data flows. Lastly, to provide a comprehensive outsourced CFO service to medium-sized businesses where we handle all their financial control processes from bookkeeping to accounting, not tax, to management reporting, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. Now, I'm not saying that any of those strategies are right, but they tick the boxes for, okay, that's defining how we're actually going to achieve our objectives in terms of our focus on who we're going to target, what we're going to deliver, and the attributes of the services. So secondly, so number one, understand what strategy is. Number two, strategy has a structure and you can learn it. So let's, I'll give you an overview now of the 7 big rocks of strategy that we'll cover at the upcoming masterclass in late July. So firstly, target audience. You need to have an inch wide, mile deep focus. So inch wide, mile deep is a phrase that was popularized by Dr. Hermann Simon, who's an Austrian professor. In non-English speaking worlds, he's like a Peter Drucker. He's the most revered business thinker in non-English speaking worlds. And yeah, his book, Hidden Champions, it looked at 50 businesses that had dominated their market, their industry for decades and were just standout businesses, but they weren't household names. Most people in the public had never heard of these businesses. And he then, being a professor, did a very robust, thorough study of what are the attributes that are common between businesses that enjoy sustained success, which, by the way, Collins built to last, and Tom Peters in Search of Excellence. You look at those businesses now, they've nearly all failed. True story. So inch wide, mile deep means inch wide in your focus and mile deep in your expertise in terms of how you serve those people. So you're not trying to be all things to all people, and you're not scattering yourself across lots of different services. So it involves defining very specific buyer personas, your ideal client. And the devil is in the detail here. Whereas if you go, yeah, we target small businesses. You and the other many thousands of accounting firms out there who don't have a strategy go, yeah, we target small businesses. If you asked a small business owner what they did for a living, they probably wouldn't say, yeah, I'm a small business operator. They would say, I'm a plumber, a builder, an accountant, a lawyer, I've got a digital marketing agency, I'm a mechanic, whatever it is. So we give you a framework where at Masterclass, you've got the framework and the thinking time and the guidance and support from me and the Paradox team to actually articulate your target market by personas. So we give you an Excel spreadsheet that has a column for 3 different buyer personas. You can add other columns. So here we've got 4, and I'll share this example again in a moment. And then you work through, in marketing speak, the demographics, so the basic facts about age, income, revenue, occupation, industry, that sort of thing. And most people, when they define their strategy, partially define that stuff. And that's important. You need to know that. But where you really start to get traction with your communication of your value and start to attract clients of more your ideal type is in the psychographics, which is what's going on between their ears. So their pain points and aspirations and their values and who they are influenced by and so on. So what we're looking at on screen here is the result of what Consolidate, one of the firms that I shared with you earlier, the result of them working this out at Masterclass. So Digital Dave, Savvy Sally, Professional Pete, Multi Mike. Digital Dave, when Consolidate decided to focus on this market, they don't mind me sharing that they didn't even have one client that fitted this profile of Digital Dave, not one. But they had expertise in that industry. They'd been involved in a now very successful business from startup stage. So they understood that space, but they'd never just gone after it. And they realized, wow, we know a lot about that space. We should probably target that. Savvy Sally, Women in Business, in their first 12 months are getting really clear on this target market. And by the way, it's not just any women in business. If you look at the details on screen, you'll see age group, number of employees, and turnover. They're very clear that they wanted businesses that have reached that 1 million mark, then their problems are different to those that are struggling to get to that point. And in the first 12 months, they did well over $1 million in revenue, additional revenue in this sector, because they worked out an offering to this target buyer persona that just ticked all their boxes. And it's been so successful, I've actually spun off another brand called Accelerate, spelt like consolidate with the figure 8 on the end. Highly recommend you check out their website, accelerate.com.au. Professional services business, again, of certain sizes and types. And the last one there, Multi-Mike, was a real penny drop for them, because they'd always said, yeah, we focus on franchises. We're really strong in franchises. And they are. But what they realized is they didn't want anyone, like a mum and dad operation that bought themselves a job, with some redundancy payout, and they just own one franchise unit. They wanted multi-franchise units because they're the more entrepreneurial, growth-oriented, more opportunity to add value with management accounting and the like. Now, this is one of the 7 big rocks, and I'll play a video for everyone a bit later on where you'll see what Tanya says about that. It was a huge breakthrough for them. Now, when they get a sales inquiry, the team on the front desk or whoever might have handled the call will actually say to Rebecca, who's on the Consolidate and now Accelerate team, hey, I've got a Digital Dave on the phone for you, Rebecca, or I've got a Multi-Mike. Like, it's become part of their vernacular. Now, you might be thinking, does this mean you knock back people outside of this? Not necessarily. You don't have to. You'll still attract referrals like you do right now. And referrals, compared to targeted inbound marketing that we help you implement, it's kind of miscellaneous. There's a little bit of luck in terms of the quality of referrals that you get. So you don't have to say no to those referrals, but you'll get to a point where you'll very readily have a choice to say, actually, not quite a fit for what we provide, and then you refer them to someone that is a better fit for them. But in the meantime, in the short term, you don't have to reject other opportunities for new clients. So that's big rock number 1. Now, there's a Q&A button in the corner of your screen. If you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll address them at the end. Secondly, positioning. Who do you want to be to them? So in their eyes, so what you've defined in number 1, who do you want to be? Because you cannot be all things to all people. So another awesome book on strategy is called Blue Ocean Strategy. And the metaphor of the blue ocean is the ocean's really big, right? Massive. And there's lots of patches of serene, calm blue ocean that you can go to, and there's no one else splashing about. But in most markets and industry sectors, there's the bloodied waters of competition where people are thrashing about in this feeding frenzy where they're all targeting the same people, small business, with the same offering. We're professional, caring, dedicated accountants, and we'll do a good job, and we're not the cheapest, but we're not the most expensive either. And it's just this sea of sameness. So everyone's trying to attract same clients in the same way with the same, generic about us pages on their websites and home pages. Yawn, right? Which is where the mediocre remain. So with positioning, it's a very clear methodology of identifying blue ocean opportunities. So you can plot any 2 spectrums against each other using this really simple technique. So for example, let's say you have a choice in front of you. Are we going to be a specialist firm or a generalist firm? Because you can't be both. So this is about picking 2 opposing attributes where you can't be both. And there's a spectrum between the 2. Now, by the way, specialist doesn't have to mean industry. It could mean service type. Some people might specialize just in this one particular service or occupation or industry. There's different ways of specializing. Whereas a generalist trying to be, one-stop shop. Now, on the other spectrum, are you a budget offering with your pricing or a premium or somewhere in between? Now, again, you can't be both, can you, in the market's perception? So if you can't be both, and you don't want to have people sort of being unclear on what it is that you are, because then you won't attract the targeted, specific, ideal types of clients that you want, you need to make a choice of your desired positioning. And this is just one example of positioning. And at Masterclass, we give you the time to work through and make decisions. And sometimes the decisions will be quite straightforward. Sometimes you might debate with each other. No, we can't go premium because of this. Or no, we can't stay budget because of this. And they're robust discussions that we can then help you facilitate and come to strategy on. So with a perceptual map like this tool is called a perceptual map. The dot in the center of the circle is, okay, positioning currently of you or your competitors, and the size of the circle is market share. So in any market, you can plot all the different providers across into the different sectors. And what you're looking for is the patch of blue ocean. You don't want to be where everyone is in the middle of the bell curve, because it's hard to stand out and hard to achieve better than industry average margins. That's a quick example of a perceptual map around that. But the whole idea is to pick your patch of blue ocean. Now, at the moment, you might be thinking, yeah, we're already busy. But, you know, I'm a member of different Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and that are full of, you know, accountants talking to each other about issues. And I really enjoy and appreciate the privilege of being kind of, you know, let inside these groups to look at the conversations and take part from time to time. But a lot of the questions that I see asked are often ones that are just showing a clear misunderstanding of things like what value pricing is or is not, for example. And I know, and particularly people say, growth, who wants to grow? I'm busy enough as it is. Well, the question is, we're all busy. What type of busy are you? So on a spectrum of lower value clients to higher value clients, and on a horizontal axis of having fewer clients or more clients, you know, if you've got lots of, you know, higher value clients and fewer of them, but you're still achieving your financial objectives, it's a pretty good sort of busy. I think you'd agree. Or if you've got the higher value clients and more of them, well, you are busy. And there are ways of dealing with that. Obviously, you have to add capacity there, but that's busy. But then there's bad busy, where you've got lower value clients and you don't have many of them, or you've got lower value clients and you've got lots of them. And you might think business is going well, but when you sit back and look at your P&L and your cash flow, and more importantly, your lifestyle, you think, wow, what am I doing this for? So you want to get into the good busy and busy quadrants so that you have the higher value clients where you've got a more meaningful relationship with them. And this is what we will help you achieve. So next, designing your business model. So how will you price? Lots of ways to price. And, you know, there's been like some coaches and consultants out there that have talked about value pricing over the years. And really they've given it a bad name in that some people think value pricing is extortion pricing, where it's all about, you know, price the client, not the offering, and basically charge as much as you can get away with each client. Now, I know there's people that have businesses built on that, little boutique consultancy, and, you know, people like Alan Weiss who writes about it, you know, he'll only ever have a handful of clients at any one time. That's different to an accounting firm. So you need to be really clear unless you're sort of family office type accounting firm, but you've got to be really clear on how you'll price, how you'll deliver, and what it is that you're selling, because you're not selling services, you're selling outcomes. And the clients and prospective clients' perception of the value, so it's their perception, not yours, is what your whole business model needs to revolve around. So it's the pricing, it's delivery, it's your sales process. Most firms haven't thought that through. So it's profoundly important. Next, designing your service mix. So designing scalable services and keeping it focused and, you know, sticking to your bagels. I'm going to save that story for Masterclass. So sticking to your bagels is one of our mantras where, you know, just be really clear on what it is that your business is offering, and don't keep adding things on to try to appease everyone and end up with dozens of different services. Stay focused, keep it scalable, but you need to design your service mix. Otherwise, you will end up a miscellaneous generalist. So next, then, we'll help you design your client value mix. So how many clients of 2 or 3 different sizes to achieve your target revenue do you want? And these are your decisions, right? We're not being prescriptive, saying this is what you need. You've got to be in this quadrant. Your call. You could have a business that's based on lower value clients, but higher volume, higher velocity. That's a model, but not if you haven't consciously intended that and you're just stuck with lower value, lots of clients. That's not good. So you decide, but we give you the framework to design the style of firm that you want. Because to me, unlike this perfect firm thing, accounting firms are more like ice cream, to use an analogy. My family occasionally loves to go to Baskin and Robbins, the ice cream stores, and their little unique selling proposition is whenever you go in, there are 31 flavors on display, always 31 flavors to choose from. And as an accounting firm, you don't have to be vanilla or chocolate. There's lots of options and you decide. So we'll help you decide very clearly what is a small client for you, what's a medium, what's a large, because there's big spectrums here and you need to be clear what it is that you're going after. There's a great analogy that comes from the software startup sector, the software as a service industry. There was a great article written years ago, and I share it with you in Masterclass. I forget the gentleman's name, but he talks about, are you hunting rabbits, deer, or elephants? Because hunting each of those different sized animals are valid, but it's a very different expedition. You've got to be really clear on who's who in the zoo. We'll give you a worksheet and time to work through that. Okay, so at this point, you're clear on who you're targeting, what your business model is, the style of clients that you want. So then, pricing and packaging. And this is another question that I get seen asked online, accountants asking each other, is anyone packaging their pricing? I'm finding that it's just turning people into price shoppers, etc. Now, packaging your pricing up into, A, B, C, bronze, silver, gold, whatever words you put on that. If it's done poorly, that will hurt your business. Categorically will hurt your business. But if it's done well, it makes selling advisory easy. So a profound thing I heard years ago was people don't actually buy your product or service, they buy your offer. So your offer is how you craft and combine what it is that you provide with pricing and conditions. So people buy your offer. So you need to think through the options, packages, and price points that you will offer. And this is a little bit like designing a house, this is the blueprint. Then lastly, we'll look at designing your conveyor belt of influence. So the conveyor belt of influence being the whole idea of having one per buyer persona and giving people a whole bunch of little steps to take, because the psychology is that people will buy after 7 interactions with a brand. They won't just discover you and want to have that complimentary consultation that big button, the button in the corner of your website says. So a series of increasing psychological gradient, so slightly bigger steps that then results in them inquiring, but then by the time they come to you, they're pre-educated. And this slide is a little bit tongue-in-cheek because the conveyor belts of influence are sometimes called conveyor belts of love, because with this style of marketing, all you are doing is actually helping and educating, adding value to those people, and they will thank you for it. They won't thank you for a brochure or a typical piece of traditional marketing, but they will thank you for a really great blog post or article or video or event where you taught them something and shifted their thinking. So yes, that's digital, online, social media. It's very much content driven. So that's a whole other kettle of fish. How do you create content? And there's a lot of technology available today that we're totally across and guide you on with marketing automation. And it really does produce leads that are better than a typical referral, because at every point along that conveyor belt, you've controlled the message. You're the one that approved or wrote the articles and the videos, etc. Whereas a referral, you don't control what it is that your existing client or referral partner might say to someone else. They might say, go see Tom, go see Sally. They're really great, lovely people. I don't think they put their prices up in a decade. That'd be bad, right? So this is a really great way to market your business. Now, in a moment, I'm going to step you through the masterclass content that we'll be running through. So strategy takes that slow thinking is the third point here. There was a great book about fast and slow thinking and how different parts of the brain are used when you're doing, high frequency, shorter tasks versus things that you really need to just stop, slow down, and ponder. And at Masterclass, this is unlike other events in the profession that really are just slide fests where you go along, there'll be a speaker with a slide deck, and you'd be lucky if it's even interactive. But even if it is interactive, that'll be brief. We give you chunks of 20, 30, 40 minutes to actually do stuff so that when you leave the Masterclass, you leave with things like, in that example earlier, with Consolidate, where they'd nailed their buyer personas in spreadsheet format. They did that graphic, that infographic later. And the good thing here is within Masterclass, you're getting the independent guidance and direction from me and the Paradox team, but also from other progressive accounting firms, because at Masterclass, it really is a particular ilk of firm. We don't attract your typical accounting firms at all. We attract those that either are doing or want to do more advisory and value add work and who are open to change and new technology. By the way, I'll share with members who are with us today at the end, we've got a new pricing model for anyone who's, because we've only run this topic of Masterclass once before. This will be our 11th Masterclass. On our 9th Masterclass, we ran this same topic. So if you were at that last one, I'll share the pricing with you to review it in a moment. So now let's have a look at the Masterclass page. So you can feel free to go to this page now if you like. It's practiceparadox.com.au/masterclass. So this is the page that explains everything that you need to know in some more detail, but I'll cover off the main things with you now. So it's July 26th and 27th on the Sunshine Coast, the gorgeous Sunshine Coast, and hopefully it'll live up to its name with the sunshine bit. Great time of year, usually, our winters. And that's our Thursday, Friday, so you can stay on for the weekend if you like. And it's 2 days of working on those 7 big rocks of strategy. So it's a 2-day workshop. We have an optional dinner on night 1. And that's always a bit of fun and great networking with other progressive people. You know, it's interesting. I just noticed in talking here, the photo that's blurred and dimmed in the background that's a photo that someone took from behind me at a Masterclass recently. And in that, you know, you can see some superstar firms there. Like you can see Steph Hines from GrowthWise. You can see Jason McDonald from White and Black. You can see Rebecca from Consolidate. So it's a very high caliber of people that you'll be mixing with. Now, you might be thinking, ticket price increases in 1 day, 13 hours, 4 minutes, and 52 seconds and counting. We've actually introduced, it's a bit of a rolling early bird incentive for you. So you know how a lot of events will have super early bird, and normal price, and that's cool. We're experimenting with something that we think will work better for everyone, where the ticket price, starting from tomorrow, will go up $15 a day, every day, until it reaches full price. So if you ever wonder, by the way, that people put on events, why do they do that? Well, clearly, we just want to nail down how many people are coming. And at this Masterclass, this will be our smallest Masterclass on purpose. It's intimate format. There'll only be 20 people in the room, and plenty of tickets are already gone. So just know that, be aware. And the reason we're doing it small is to really make it, you know, truly workshop, plenty of time for us to have what we call consultation corner, where we can provide one-on-one time with you on your business on the different rocks of strategy. So that's what it means, ticket price increases. Steph Hines has been to nearly all of our masterclasses so far, and she's pretty sophisticated these days with her marketing. The only time she hasn't come is when she's been in the States with other things going on. So on the page here, you'll see, you know, how to make your firm stand out, and, you know, why is it that these apparently rock star firms get so much attention? And it is because of this clarity that they have around your strategy. So this will be really specific, guided workshopping. And we'll help you dispel things about, there's a lot of misnomers around, for example, a focus-based strategy and niching, or if you're from North America, niching, about the fears around that. And we can, you know, we step you through the pros and cons of all of that. Okay, so today I explained some of the things we'll cover. Some of the other things I haven't mentioned today is, you know, things about like the myth of differentiation. If you've ever heard anyone talk about the need for a unique selling proposition, your USP in your business, well, I've got news for everyone in the accounting profession. You don't actually have a unique selling proposition in the strategic sense, because from a strategy perspective, a differentiation strategy means you have something different. You have a patent or trade secrets, some technology, some advantage that others in your marketplace don't have. So a differentiation strategy is not actually available to you. You're drawing on the same labor market, using the same apps, generally with the same business models. So that is why differentiation, as it's explained, usually is not useful for you, because you'll end up saying the same as what everyone else does. We're different because, and then you list out the exact same reasons as everyone else. It does not work. Whereas a focus strategy with a clear positioning utterly works. One of the people in that photo before, Jason McDonald from White and Black, his website's whiteblack.com.au. He shared with us in our Facebook group the other day that one of the strategies that he's applied out of here, which we call a niche portal strategy, gives him on average 2 inbound leads a day. So this stuff works. So in terms of what you'll leave with, you basically have a really clear plan on a strategy that is worthy of execution. And we don't just cut you loose after that. If you're a Paradox member, we'll do things for you to support that strategy around, your blogging and your SEO and your social media and other content, so that it supports the successful execution of that. Mitch Griffiths there, that testimonial, top guy. He and Chad from Rapsy Griffiths, so Mitch Griffiths there, they came to us when they were a startup because they talked to a few firms in that Hunter region around Newcastle where they were impressed with their marketing, and they said, hey, who's doing your marketing? And after 3 different firms saying Paradox, they came to us, and they've been to many of our masterclasses as well. If you don't know much about my background, it's always uncomfortable to talk about yourself. Have a look at my LinkedIn profile. If you're interested, feel free to connect. But a very extensive background in consulting to accounting and professional services firms. Now, big question, who should attend? Essentially, the strategy is for the senior people in the business, so the directors, partners, principals, or people that are likely to be directors, partners, principals in the future, and any senior managers who have a role in directing and executing the firm's strategy. It's not intended for junior staff because we'll be talking about entrepreneurial concepts that not everyone's comfortable with their staff knowing about exactly, for example, how much profit you're making. If that's not an issue for you, don't worry, but this is intended for the senior people in the firm. So on this page, you'll see the agenda. I'm just looking across to see if there's any questions there. We're going for another 3 or so minutes. So there's the agenda of what we're going to cover across the 2 days. Now with the tickets, if you're already a member of Paradox, meaning you're subscribing to Implementer or any of our other services across SEO, blogging, email newsletter, social media, you'll click the button on the left, the orange button. And when you click that, that will go through to an order form where you can purchase your tickets. Now, if you've been to this topic before, if you type in all caps, review 18 and click apply, you'll actually get 75% off the ticket price. So you can review for a quarter of the normal price. And we're doing that for very good reason. Strategy is not like something that's like a cake. You've baked it and it's done. It's something more like a yard or a garden where you need to revisit and maintain it. So to encourage you to do that, and also you'll be quite an experienced head in the room to contribute value to those, we're incentivizing you to revisit it. If you're not yet a member, you click the gray button and your ticket price is in there. If you're thinking about becoming a member between now and then, just drop us an email to hello@practiceparadox.com.au and we can chat. And then you can take advantage of the member prices. But I'm just going to play for you now a 3-minute video of people that were at this same topic masterclass. And these videos were just taken with our smartphone, I think, at the event itself. So I'm just going to play that for 3 minutes. And yeah, have a listen to what people like you have said about what they get out of attending masterclass.
Hi, I'm Tanya Titman.
Hi, my name's Nick.
Hi, I'm Mitch Griffiths.
G'day, my name's Nigel.
I'm Prue McStay.
My name's Elliot Brennan.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm here at the Masterclass with MC. MC is someone who I consider to be the guru in accounting space for marketing for accountants. He's someone who shares a lot of knowledge and really empowers people who attend his courses.
MC's been brilliant. He's interactive, he's interesting, he's ageing, he's actually quite fun, even for someone who consults to accountants, which is interesting in itself.
Oh, MC's fantastic. He's just a phenomenal presenter, extremely knowledgeable.
The way that MC facilitates everything is great. It's very interactive.
We love the masterclass process. Yes, we have been to many. When I say we, I mean Tanya and I. We come back because it's an opportunity to step out of the crazy mayhem that is our lives in the office and take some slow thinking time.
The structure of the masterclass has been really great because we've worked through the theory and then we've had time to be able to make decisions.
Other marketing or consultants seem to miss the point. They don't understand the industry. Paradox for accountants, they know what they're talking about.
Being with Practice Paradox as a member has just been unbelievable for me, but coming here has been even better.
I'm here to learn, and I am learning, and I'm getting a lot of value out of Masterclass. The different, the 7 rocks of strategy have just been absolute gold nuggets for me.
As a result of coming along, I've got a lot more clarity in terms of the marketing, perceptions of clients, building up a whole lot of personas and other tools that we've learned.
We come to, I think we've been to all the masterclass in the last 3 years. Just adds value, you refocus, get back to the office, set the plan for the year.
The masterclass is absolutely critical because it's your opportunity to step out of that mayhem and actually implement some of the things that you've learned.
I'm pretty clear in terms of the personas, the type of clients I'm looking for, and I'm excited to get back to Melbourne and start hitting the new clients. So I don't know, I found it's fantastic. So if you're thinking about coming along, just do it. I've really enjoyed it.
I highly recommend it. Definitely won't be the last one I come to.
We love all of the content, learn something every time that we come, and I just think it's an essential part of your marketing strategy for your firm.
If you need guidance and help on implementing the strategy and marketing parts of your business, come. It's really invaluable, and I want to come to the next one.
Simply put it, Practice Paradox has transformed our business and continues to do so.
Masterclass has to be included in your professional development budget for yourself as a business owner, and if you have a key person within your organisation, make sure you bring them as well.
Okay, so thanks everyone for sticking to this point, and let me just bring back my video. Some final details for you. The venue is at Inbox Workspace, so that's Maroochydore, which is like the commercial precinct of the Sunshine Coast. In terms of where to stay, the Siebel's right next door, Verve and Sundeck are nearby. Someone asked me, and I will reply to your email personally, we've got a place up at Noosa, should we stay there? Noosa's about a 40-minute drive, but it's a lovely, lovely area around there where there's a bit of R&R. So that's it. Get your 7 big rocks of strategy clarified or re-clarified and join us for this masterclass at the end of July, and join the other firms that really are not just winning awards, sure, but they are achieving their objectives because they have a clear strategy to execute. So thanks again for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing many of you at our next masterclass. Bye for now.